حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. عباد الله، أوصيكم ونفسي الخاطئة أولا بتقوى الله عز وجل. قال سبحانه في كتابه الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. وقال سبحانه يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. SubhanAllah, it's the beginning of a new academic semester, the beginning of a new year, 2024, beginning of a new chapter in the book of our lives. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to fill it with khair, barakah, tawfiq, and rahmah. And the best thing to start this chapter with is dhikrullah Azza wa Jal, is the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal and saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We start with the name of Allah Azza wa Jal, the most merciful, the most kind. And as the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam writes in the hadith, where he says, كل أمر أو كلام ذي بال لا يبدأ بذكر الله أو بسم الله أو بحمد الله فهو أبتر. Every matter of importance from the dunya or the akhirah that doesn't start with Bismillah or Alhamdulillah or the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal فهو أبتر. It is cut from al-khair, cut from barakah, cut from rahmah. So Bismillah نبدأ الخطبة وبسم الله نبدأ هذا الفصل الدراسي and we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to grant us tawfiq and success inshallah ta'ala. In the previous khutbah, and speaking of beginnings as well, we mentioned before that when we're speaking of beginnings, we have to look at the beginnings of our religion. We have to look at the beginnings of the book of Allah Azza wa Jal, the beginnings of the Sunnah Nabawiyyah, the beginnings of the mission of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So when you look, we spoke about the Quran al-Kareem and we said that we have to look at the Quran from two perspectives. From the organizational perspective, how the surah are ordered in the book of Allah Azza wa Jal, and the perspective, the revelational perspective. How the Quran was revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And we spoke about the Sunnah and we're going to touch upon it inshallah in a minute. We spoke about the Quran Kareem and how it was ordered by the command of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, upon Jibreel alayhi salam, upon Allah Azza wa Jal. So from the organizational perspective, the Quran Kareem starts with Surah Al-Fatiha. We spoke about Surah Al-Fatiha, we projected its meanings into our lives, we spoke about its virtues and merits, and how it's the greatest surah in the book of Allah Azza wa Jal, as the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned in the hadith. SubhanAllah, today we want to speak about the revelational perspective. We want to speak about the revelational perspective. And this, SubhanAllah, is immediately connected to how the message started, to how the mission of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam started too. Aisha radiallahu anha narrates in the Bukhari upon the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. She was basically recounting or telling us the story of the Prophet ﷺ when the wahi, when the revelation descended on him. When the Prophet ﷺ became 40 years old, كان صلى الله عليه وسلم يتعبد في غار حراء. He used to go to غار حراء, the cave of Hira, and he used to engage in worships, meditate, think about the creation of the heavens and the land and all of these things, the signs of Allah Azza wa Jal. When he became 40, seclusion and being in solitude became more dear to him, as Aisha narrates. one of the very first forms of revelation was the ru'ya as-sadiqa. Anything that the Prophet ﷺ sees in his dream, strikingly becomes true. Happens immediately. So, subhanAllah, at one time, the Prophet ﷺ used to spend nights or times in Ghar Hira, in the cave of Hira, and then he would go back to his wife. His wife was Khadija, bint Khuwaylid, radiallahu anha, back in the time. And he used to take his provisions, spend some time with his family, etc. One time, the Prophet ﷺ was going to the cave of Hira, and Jibreel alayhi salam descended on him. Imagine, Jibreel alayhi salam is a different creation. Angels are created differently, like their creation, their disposition is different to us. So the Prophet ﷺ was sitting, and Jibreel alayhi salam descends upon the Prophet ﷺ and says, "Iqra, read." The Prophet ﷺ said, I cannot read. So, long story short, Jibreel alayhi salam pressed him physically. So he knows that this is not a hallucination or just dreams or it's something untrue or he's just imagining. No, it's something true. And then Jibreel alayhi salam released the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, "Iqra." He said, "Ma ana biqari," and he pressed him again until Jibreel alayhi salam recited, "Iqra. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم." So these were the first verses to be revealed on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Iqra means read. And this tells you the importance of reading and learning and the pen, as Allah mentioned it at the very end, to us as Muslims. How knowledge is really important to us, how we have to seek knowledge. And this is what we're basically doing at McGill. May Allah Azza wa Jal correct our intention and reward us for our learning here, to serve the Ummah one day, inshallah ta'ala. اقرأ باسم ربك الخلق اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. Read the name of Allah who created, the Creator. خلق الإنسان من علق. He created the human being from clinging substance, a clot of blood. اقرأ وربك الأكرم. Read, and Allah Azza wa Jal is the most honorable. الذي علم بالقلم. He is who taught with the pen. The revelation was really tough for the Prophet ﷺ. And this is مشهور له في المزمل. إنا سنلقي عليك قولا ثقيلا. Quran is heavy. The revelation is heavy on the Prophet ﷺ. Even when the revelation used to descend on the Prophet ﷺ, it was heavy on him. He would just disconnect, or he would sweat because of the heaviness of the wahy. The words of Allah Azza wa Jalla we didn't expect. So he was really shocked, and he went all the way to Khadija radiallahu anha, his wife, his pious and righteous wife, Ummuna radiallahu anha wa ardaha. He went to her, and he was frightened. And he was saying, "Zammiluni, Zammiluni," means wrap me up, cover me, I'm so afraid. So Khadija radiallahu anha covered him, and basically asked him about what happened, and he said, لَقَدْ خِفْتُ عَلَى نَفْسِي. I have feared for myself. Like, what happened, it made me frightened. So look at Khadija radiallahu anha. And I'm just cramming the story now and summarizing it, and inshallah we will shed light on every single point and extract the gems of Khadija radiallahu anha and the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Khadija radiallahu anha, as a righteous and a pious wife, calmed down the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. She tapped at his shoulder with her kind words. She was his resort. She was his sanctuary that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam immediately went to. And she said, "Kalla. Wallahi la yukhzika Allahu abada." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never disgrace you, Ya Muhammad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never humiliate you, Ya Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa Muhammad. So, and then she started counting and enumerating the virtues of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to basically calm him down, to remind him and tell him why Allah would never disgrace the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So she said, كلا والله ما يخزيك الله أبدا إنك لتصل الرحم وتحمل الكلب, which basically says you are dutiful to your relatives. You are a person who is righteous to his kinship. وتحمل الكلب, and you bear the burden of the disadvantage. If there's a person with disadvantage, you would always stand by their side. You're always a truthful one, Ya Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa Muhammad. وتكسب المعدوم وتقري الضيف. If a person is destitute, يعني poor, فقير, you will always support him. If a person is a guest coming from a long distance, you will always be generous to him, and you will always honor him. And all of these tells you, is basically enumerating the noble characteristics of the noble man sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وتقري الضيف وتعين على نوائب الحق. If there is any stance of khair, if there is any stance of haqq, of truth, you will always be there. Anything related to truth, you're always there. وتعين على نوائب الحق. And subhanAllah, then, I'm going to mention this later on. If you look at this hadith, this tells you there are a lot of things that we can learn from this hadith. SubhanAllah, the revelation came to the Prophet ﷺ in a time where there was no one worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal. لم يكن الله عز وجل يعبد. كانوا يؤمنون بالله عز وجل. They used to believe in Allah Azza wa Jal, but they used to associate the idols with the worship of Allah Azza wa Jal. And this is not Islam. أَلَا لِلَّهِ الدِّينُ الْخَالِصِ. The Iman, the pure religion, is to Allah Azza wa Jal. You don't associate anyone with the worship of Allah Azza wa Jal, or the tawajjuh, the orientation. All the orientation to Allah Azza wa Jal. No one was worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal 1400 years. I might go this far. In 20 years, 23 years, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam conquered Mecca with the flag of Tawheed, monotheism. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala endured the da'wah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and مكن الله عز وجل لعباده في الأرض. ومتى ما قام العباد بشريعة الله مكنهم الله في الأرض واستخلفهم. Whenever you perform the Sharia of Allah Azza wa Jal and perform Allah Azza wa Jal commanded you, Allah gives you tamkeen, gives you assertion of the land. So this tells you that there is nothing impossible in the dictionary of Allah Azza wa Jal, in simple words. There is nothing called impossible. Just have right tawakkul and yaqeen and take the means to that. The Prophet ﷺ was the most mutawakkil person we know. His name is al-Mutawakkil, as we mentioned in the hadith. And he took the means. He went to Allah, he went to send some messages and messengers to other kings. He took the means to spread the da'wah, and that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted tamkeen to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This tells you there is nothing impossible. Always have faith in Allah Azza wa Jal. They say trust the process, trust Allah Azza wa Jal. Also, one of the benefits, subhanAllah, it tells you about the importance of Iman and how we have to be really into saving and protecting our religion, because subhanAllah, all of the tough journeys that the Prophet ﷺ took to basically deliver this religion to you. This tells you the importance of Tawheed. And also subhanAllah, it tells you the importance of having a righteous person right next to you. Scholars say this tells you how important it is to have a righteous wife. And subhanAllah, marriage is getting kind of tough these days. May Allah Azza wa Jal grant us pious wives and grant our sisters pious husbands. But this tells you the importance of having a person to support you in your da'wah, to support you in your life. Because the Prophet ﷺ, when he was frightened, he immediately went to Khadija radiallahu anha saying, Zammiluni, wrap me up, I need your help, I need your advice, I need your wisdom. So it's really important to have a person to support you in da'wah. And subhanAllah, this is something that is applicable in our university. You need a person, you need a friend who can help you. When you are ever feeling down, whenever you need like somebody to help you, if you need somebody to pour your heart out to them, they should always be there. They will help you. They will give you that tap on the shoulder so you can continue and succeed inshallah ta'ala. So radiyallahu an ummina Khadija wa ardaha. This hadith also tells you when Khadija radiallahu anha was saying, Kalla wallahi la yuhzika Allahu abada, Allah will never disgrace you or humiliate you. She immediately started to count the virtues of the Prophet, the good deeds. إنك لتقري الضيف وتحمل الكل وتعين على نوائب الحق وتصل الرحم. SubhanAllah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a hadith written by Salama, وهو حديث صحيح, قال صنائع المعروف تقي مصارع السوء. صنائع المعروف تقي مصارع السوء. Good deeds should protect the person who do it. If you're a person who is committed to doing good deeds, Allah Azza wa Jalla will protect you through your good deeds. And this is how the Prophet ﷺ was protected through his da'wah. And through that rough time in his da'wah, at the beginning of the message. So this tells you that you can never be led to any good deed that you do. And as scholars always say, لا تحقرن من المعروف شيئا فلا تأتي بأي حسنة تدخل الجنة. Never be led to any good deed. You don't know through which hasana that you might deem little, Allah Azza wa Jalla grants you Jannah. You don't know through which hasana Allah will protect you in the dunya from an incident, from a problem, from a failure, or anything. لا تحقرن من المعروف شيئا. And it goes the other way as well. Don't be led with sins. Don't say this is a minor sin that I don't have to double overthink, basically. And subhanAllah also, this hadith, when we said good deeds protect from evil, protects from destruction, protects from failure. And subhanAllah, one of the other benefits that we can get from this hadith is a portion that I didn't mention at the beginning, which is the story of Warqa bin Nawfal. So when Khadija radiallahu anha assured the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, she took him to her cousin, named Warqa bin Nawfal. Warqa هذا رضي الله عنه ويترضى عنه. ورقة كان نصراني تنصر في الجاهلية، تنصر قبل بعثة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وكان من علمائهم. He became a Christian at that time and he became one of the scholars of the Bible. So when Khadija took the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم to Nawfal, Warqa bin Nawfal, the Prophet basically told him what he saw. He said, إنه الناموس أي صاحب السر. This is Jibreel alayhi salam. He used to come to the messengers and the prophets. And look what Warqa said. He said, وَلَدْتُ لَوْ أَنِّي جَدَعًا أَنْصُرُكَ فَأَنْصُرُكَ نَصْرًا مُؤَزَّرًا. As came in the hadith. He said, I wish I would be rigorous. I wish I am rigorous because he was an old person, a blind person. He said, I wish I am rigorous and robust in my youth and strength so I can support you and stand by your side. Look, this was an intention. Warqa said the intention to help the Prophet ﷺ, and he passed away afterwards. Al-ulama say Warqa is a Sahabi. Some scholars say that Warqa bin Nawfal is a Sahabi because he believed in the Prophet ﷺ, and he's muwahhid for sure. There's a small difference in whether he's a Sahabi or not, but he's a muwahhid for sure. So this tells you that always set good intentions. We are studying, we are doing anything, always set good intentions. And this is something that we're going to touch upon inshallah in the second part of the khutbah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبيه المصطفى الأمين محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن اهتدى بهديهم إلى يوم البعث والدين أما بعد. So we spoke about the Quran al-Kareem, we spoke about the relational perspective of it, we spoke about the organizational perspective of the Quran. Now subhanAllah we will segue to the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as we always say, the Sunnah Nabawiyya and Quran al-Kareem go hand by hand. You cannot disconnect them. And subhanAllah, nowadays we see some people who want to disconnect the Sunnah. We see some people who want to disconnect the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ from the book of Allah Azza wa Jalla. وهذا والعياذ بالله يخشى على صاحبه من الكفر. يخشى على صاحبه من الكفر. Anyway, when we look at the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ or the Sunnah, we would just go in a simple term to the most authentic book of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, which is the book of Bukhari, rahmatullahi alayhi. The book of Bukhari, subhanAllah, most of the scholars start or preface their books, whether it's in fiqh, or it's in al-aqidah, or it's in hadith, they always preface it with the hadith of Umar bin Khattab radiyallahu anhu, إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى ما هاجر إليه ومن كانت هجرته إلى دنيا يصيبها أو امرأة ينكحها فهجرته إلى ذاك أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. This hadith, Umar radiyallahu anhu is basically saying that the deeds are looked at with respect to the intention behind them. Your deeds are only their intention. SubhanAllah, you might see two people are praying. One of them will be rewarded for his salah, the other will be punished for it. Salah is good. Salah is a ta'a of Allah Azza wa Jalla. But SubhanAllah, because of the difference in the intention that we don't know, Allah Azza wa Jalla punished the second and rewarded the first. So this tells you the importance of the niyyah. And subhanAllah, when you look at the niyyah at McGill's, and this is something that we want to project into our reality, we are starting a new semester, we are seeking knowledge, and as we mentioned when we explained the first 5 verses of Surah Al-Alaq, we said that the Prophet ﷺ, the first verses revealed to him were Iqra. And we said how the scholars commented on the virtue and the importance of reading and learning and seeking knowledge in Islam. So subhanAllah, every single morning, at the beginning of the semester, starting a new semester, set the intention that everything I'm doing at this university, all the struggles, all the stress in my assignments, in my midterms, and my finals, is for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla. I'm learning to become a productive community member, where I can serve my ummah one day, inshallah ta'ala. Set the intention to that, and Allah Azza wa Jalla will reward you for this. Set the intention to be a person who is abiding by the nasiha of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he mentions in the hadith, read by Abu Darda, where he says, من سلك طريقا يلتمس فيه علما سهل الله له به طريقا إلى الجنة. Whoever seeks a path where he can seek knowledge in there, where he seeks knowledge, where whoever follows a path in pursuit of knowledge, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will facilitate the path for him to enter Jannah. And then he mentions the virtue of the person who seeks knowledge, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يسخر له, Allah will make his creatures do istighfar for you and dua for you. So set the intention to this. When you come here, and this is something related to the story of Khadija radiallahu anha. SubhanAllah, if you see a person who is being weighed down by something, you see a person who is sad, a person who is struggling, you see a person who is stressed because of a midterm, final assessment, whatever, always ask them, how's it going? Reassure them. لا يضيع أجرك عند الله سبحانه وتعالى واحتسب هذا في صدقك. Always set the intention that this small question it falls under the category or the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he says, من نفس عن مؤمن كربة نفس الله عنه كربة أو نفس الله عنه كربة من كرب يوم القيامة. Whoever gives an exit for one of the dunyawi problems, or the dunya problems with his friends or his brothers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant an exit in the akhirah. So this is the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's about the intentions. How many good deeds have we missed because we weren't like mindful of the niyyah. لذلك قالوا تجارة العلماء النية. SubhanAllah, how the scholars basically surpass us is with their niyyah. They know the importance of the niyyah. So anything they do is for the niyyah of Allah, for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla. If your friend asks you to basically fill the bottle of water, say yes, and take it and just like take it as set the intention to basically quench the thirst of a Muslim. SubhanAllah, anything you can turn from a routine thing into an ibadah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this subhanahu wa ta'ala applies to everything you do. Not only seeking knowledge out here. If you go to the gym, if you sleep, if you do your groceries, and this is as Sa'ad bin Mu'adh radiallahu anhu, as Al-Bukhari radiallahu anhu, someone Sa'ad bin Mu'adh, which is one of the greatest Sahaba, he says, إِنِّي لَأَحْتَسِبُ عَلَى اللَّهِ نَوْمَتِي كَمَا أَحْتَسِبُ قَوْمَتِي. I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to reward me for my sleep the way He rewards me for my ibadah. Why? Because I'm sleeping to just recharge and worship Allah Azza wa Jalla in a better way. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to correct our intentions and to make us among من يسمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت. اللهم انصر إخواننا في غزة. اللهم انصر عبادك المستضعفين في كل مكان. اللهم نجِ عبادك المؤمنين في كل مكان. اللهم عليك بأعدائك أعداء هذا الدين. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم وأقيموا الصلاة.